A very good afternoon to one and all. I am Dr. Javeed Ul Aziz from IGNOU Regional Center Srinagar. आज हम बात करने जा रहे हैं on a very important theme in ancient Indian history, जिस पे हमने कल भी बात की थी. आज का जो सेशन है it is a sort of continuation of that very session. So हम बात करेंगे changes in later Vedic period or later Vedic phase. So before we start that, before we discuss the changes in later Vedic phase, I think it is also important that we sum up what we discussed yesterday. क्योंकि ये सेशन जो है it is in continuation with that, and we are in a way focusing on, we are discussing and we are interested in understanding the changes. जो changes आई थी इस period में वो changes क्या थे. So if you remember in our last session we discussed Vedic era, early Vedic period जो था है India ancient Indian history में, we had a discussion on that. और वहाँ पे हमने देखा कि that the period from 1500 BCE to 1000 BCE का जो ये period है, इस period को हम early Vedic period के नाम से जानते हैं. इस पीरियड का जो मेन सोर्स है जिससे जो मेन लिटरेरी सोर्स है इस पीरियड पे, दैट इज द ऋग्वेदा से हमें इस पीरियड के बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन मिलती है. एंड देन देयर आर सम आर्कियोलॉजिकल सोर्सेज एज वेल व्हिच सप्लीमेंट द इंफॉर्मेशन इन द ऋग्वेद. तो यहाँ पे हम एक इन दिस वेरी जब कल हमारा डिस्कशन हुआ था इस पे, तो नंबर ऑफ थिंग्स वी डिस्कस्ड हमने देखा कि इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन या हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन के डिक्लाइन के बाद हम देखते हैं कि यानी कि विच रफली इज अराउंड 1800 BC. उसके बाद हम देखते हैं कि फ्रॉम देयर we see that in the rural countryside, in the rural areas of north, east, west, and then in the south as well later on, हम देखते हैं कि कुछ कल्चर्स इमर्ज होते हैं जिन कल्चर्स की अपनी अपनी स्पेसिफिक अपनी अपनी पर्टिकुलर पोट्रीज भी थी. सो उनमें हमने देखा ऑचरी कलर्ड पोट्री, और उस पोट्री के बेसिस पे उस कल्चर का नाम हम देते हैं. देन ब्लैक एंड रेड वेयर कल्चर वाज देयर, देन पेंटेड ग्रे वेयर, नॉर्दर्न ब्लैक पॉलिश्ड वेयर. ये डिफरेंट कल्चर्स हमने देखे कि ये डिफरेंट पार्ट्स में इमर्ज हो रहा है. और इन सारे कल्चर्स में हमने देखा कि दैट दीज कल्चर्स ऑन ए स्मॉलर और ए लार्जर स्केल, हम इन कल्चर्स में देखते हैं कि कहीं ना कहीं आयरन इम्प्लीमेंट्स हमें मिलते हैं. Not iron, copper implements हमें मिलते हैं बहुत. That is why all these cultures, cotton के भी, copper के भी हमें मिलते हैं, and then we are also getting tools of stone and all that. So based on that we think in cultures को जो है, these cultures were named as Chalcolithic cultures. And then we also discussed कि megalithic culture जो साउथ में है वो कैसे इमर्ज हुए, what does that signify वगैरह वगैरह, वो that we discussed. So अगर आप जो अर्ली वैदिक पीरियड, जिस पीरियड की हम बात करते हैं, अगर उसका देखेंगे तो दैट इमर्जेड आफ्टर दीज दैट वाज दैट इमर्जेड, वो जो कल्चर है, वो जो सोसाइटी इमर्ज हुई, दैट इमर्जेड इन ए रीजन इन पंजाब. प्रेजेंटली पंजाब वाला रीजन जो है, दैट इज कॉल्ड सप्त सिंधुआ रीजन और सप्त सिंधु. So this is the region, this is land, this is also translated as the land of 7 rivers. तो ये जो है, ये पार्ट यहाँ पे इस रीजन को, इस जोग्राफिकल रीजन को इनहेबिट किया कुछ लोगों ने, who came to be known as the Vedic people. And this was this because they Vedic is a term, knowledge से related जो है. So and it is said, it is believed that certain books were certain some sort of information was revealed upon them. और वो information जो है वो फिर with the passage of time that came in the form of that was composed in the form, compiled in the form of books, and that is उसमें फिर हम देख सबसे पुरानी वाली टेक्स्ट जो जिसको हम ऋग्वेद कहते हैं. सो ऋग्वेद जिस टाइम में रिवील हुई या जिस टाइम में ये प्रोड्यूस हुई ऋग्वेद, उस टाइम पीरियड को हम अर्ली वैदिक पीरियड कहते हैं. और अर्ली वैदिक पीरियड के बारे में, इन लोगों के बारे में which inhabited the Sapt Sindhwa region, ये लोग थे, इनके बारे में therefore we get a good amount of information about them from the Rig Veda. And this information at times is also supplemented by archaeological sources. और यहाँ पे अगर हम इस ऋग्वेद के बेसिस पे जो हमने देखा कि अगर हम यहाँ की पॉलिटी देखेंगे इस रीजन की यहाँ पे इन लोगों के इनकी सोसाइटी कैसी थी, रिलीजियस बिलीफ्स क्या थे, इनकी इकोनॉमी कैसी थी, एंड अदर थिंग्स, देन वी गॉट टू नो, कल हमने देखा था कि दैट जो इनकी इकोनॉमी थी दैट वाज अ पास्टोरल इकोनॉमी. They believed in they were pastoralists. Pastoralism was there. Animals were the source of wealth. Cattle wealth, instead of agriculture being the primary source of income, cattle rearing or pastoralism was the main source of income. That is what we discussed yesterday. So animal wealth was the main source of income. So societies were not that sedentary. ये सोसाइटी थी उतनी सेडेंट्रिक नहीं थी. Again, we do not say we do not deny that agriculture was also practiced there, but हम देखते हैं कि pastoralism was this was the major activity, major economic activity. So because of that, people were on move. The sedentary lifestyle had not crept in that way. So और ये सोसाइटी जो थी, ये पास्टोरल सोसाइटी थी. कैटल इसमें बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट, कैटल का की सिग्निफिकेंस जो थी वो बहुत ही ज्यादा थी. इसलिए इस सोसाइटी में हम देखते हैं कि ऋग्वेदा में भी हम देखते हैं कि दैट नंबर ऑफ there are good number of references about cow in Rigveda. This shows the economic significance. There may be other significances as well, but this the number of references that we get for cow, गाय के मुतालिक जो different references हमें मिली है इस period में, इस source में, ऋग्वेद में, so वो ये दिखाता है, वो ये दर्शाता है कि गाय की बहुत ही ज्यादा importance थी, and economic importance तो बहुत ज्यादा थी. So that is one. And then when cattle and especially cow was the most important asset, most economic thing that the people possessed. So obviously हम देखते हैं कि फिर गाय से ही related conflicts थे. तो फिर हम देखते हैं कि गाय की protection के लिए गौरक्षक, where it was the responsibility of the tribal head to protect the cattle. It was so enemies and friends, जो cow या cattle को नुकसान पहुंचाने की कोशिश करता था, they were the enemies, and those therefore to not let that happen, हम देखते हैं कि different measures were taken, जहाँ पे search for cow, protection of cow used to be the major functions of the tribal chief, and he would involve other people in getting it, and conflicts at times were also about it, so cattle was the major form of wealth. फिर हम इस सोसाइटी के बारे में ये भी हमने देखा. So economically it was a pastoral society. It was not it was not fully agrarian in that very sense. Pastoralism was dominant. Agriculture was practiced, but major economic activity was pastoralism. So जब सोसाइटी पे नजर डालते हैं इस ऋग्वेदिक सोसाइटी पे, तो we found that this society basically it was an egalitarian society, but with the passage of time occupations के बेसिस पे हम देखते हैं कि एक हायरार्की इमर्ज होती है. बट नेवरदलेस ज्यादातर ये जो सोसाइटी थी, जो ऋग्वेदिक सोसाइटी थी, इट वाज egalitarian in nature. और यहाँ पे हम ये भी देखते हैं कि जो डिवीजन अगर था कहीं पे, सोशल डिवीजन अगर था, दैट वाज नॉट बेस्ड ऑन कास्ट, दैट वाज नॉट बेस्ड ऑन एनी अदर स्ट्रेटिफिकेशन, बट ऑन ऑक्यूपेशन. इट वाज बेस्ड ऑन ऑक्यूपेशन. और जो ट्राइबल चीफ था, इसको हम यहाँ पे राजन भी कहते हैं, एंड देन ही वाज सपोर्टेड बाय द प्रीस्ट, पुरोहित. दिस वाज देयर. और ऋग्वेदिक टाइम्स में इस राजन के पावर्स को बढ़ाने के लिए या कम करने के लिए, इस पे सॉर्ट ऑफ चेक्स रखने के लिए there were two important tribal assemblies. One was named as Sabha. It was an assembly of the common people, and in Rig Vedic times we have references that women also were allowed. They also participated in this very gathering, this very assembly. There was another assembly of the tribal people that was termed as Samiti. This was not that open. It was not everyone could participate in it. So in terms of participation, Sabha was broad, Samiti was small, and only some selected people could participate in the Samiti. So this is the kind of Rigvedic society. And then the religious beliefs, we see certain gods were like Indra and Agni. They were very popular gods. Number of references are there about in the Rig Veda about these gods. And this we can say these natural forces were also venerated. So this was the kind of society in those very times between 1500 and 1000 BC. And this information comes from a very important literary source, that is the Rig Veda. So Rig Veda के basis पे हम कहते हैं कि ये society, ये लोग कैसे थे, and lot of information comes from Rig Veda, and this information at times is also supported. It is also supplemented by the archaeological sources, like painted graveyard culture is very close. बहुत सारे sites इस period में painted graveyard के ही evidences मिले हैं. So this shows that these people perhaps they were the dominant pottery is painted graveyard. So अब इसके बाद हम देखते हैं कि 1000 के बाद से लेके जो 600 BCE का period है, that is termed as the later Vedic period. So this is the Vedic period. This is about the society, but this is termed as the later Vedic period. And number of changes occurred. Rig Vedic society में भी changes slowly हो रही थी. It was not a static society anyway. यहाँ पर भी changes हो रही थी. But अब 1000 BC के आगे हम देखते हैं कि changes जो है वो ज़्यादा prominent या ज़्यादा visible हो जाती है. And that is why from 1000 BC onwards we use the term later Vedic period. क्योंकि कुछ जो established चीजें वहाँ पे थी, जो predominant वहाँ पे Vedic period में था, तो वो अब उनसे कुछ यहाँ पे हटके चीजें देख रहे हैं. Be it in terms of gods, religious beliefs, popular gods, be it in terms of the type of economy that was their subsistence pattern, be it in terms of the powers of the tribal chief, be it in terms of the nature of the clan and social divisions, classes, groups, stratifications. इन सब मामलात में हम देखते हैं कि that 1000 BC के आगे up to 600 BC कुछ prominent changes आती है, and this period is referred as, इस period को नाम दिया जाता है the later Vedic period. So it is roughly between 1000 BCE to 600 BCE. Now इस period में if you look at the Rig Vedic period जब हमने कहा तो it was the main habitation, the main place, dwelling place of these people remained by and large confined to the Sapt Sindhua region, land of 7 rivers, Punjab, and the areas around that. So, but we are seeing that from 1000 BC onwards, जिसको हम later Vedic period कहते हैं, we see that there is people are now moving beyond this. These people, this society is moving beyond the Sapt Sindhua region. Now population has increased, and now they are moving beyond Upper Ganga Valley and its adjacent areas. Now they are becoming the main attraction. Main places of habitation are these now. And then number of changes are occurring in this valley. So this was and you have to remember that this was a very, very fertile region. And because of the fertility of this very region, production potential was also very high. And because of that, we see number of changes, occurring in this very region later on, and it becoming this society from 1000 to 600 BC, from later Vedic phase we कहते हैं. We see this, very different than the Rig Vedic period. अब इस period, इस phase के बारे में जो major sources हैं हमें, कोई एक तो archaeology तो हमें archaeological sources तो हमें information देगी ही. They will help us in reconstructing this very period. But We also have literary sources about it. ऋग वेदा largely deals with the early Vedic period. So, लेकिन ऋग वेदा का जो later part है, 10th मंडला जो उसका है, that is throwing some light on the later Vedic period. एक तो वो है. Secondly, we see that there are other Vedas where they also came. They are also throwing light on this Vedic. So later Vedic text जो है, उनमें सामवेद है, यजुर्वेद है, अथर्ववेद है. These are the later Vedas, and these later Vedas, they throw a lot of light on what is termed as this, the later Vedic period, जहाँ पे हम देखते हैं कि that this society had moved on from जिसको हम कहते हैं सप्त सिंधुआ region to this Ganga Valley and its adjacent areas. Now, what are the जो sources जब हम बात करते हैं कि what are the sources that give us information about it? So one is the 10th mandala of Rigved, and then we have Samved, Yajurved, and Atharved. They are providing us a lot of information about it. Samved अगर देखेंगे तो Samved से this book is about, it is termed as the book of prayers and chants. So ये rituals से related सारी, it's about the rituals. अब if you remember, in Rigvedic times also number of rituals were practiced, but those rituals जो थे वो rituals ज़्यादातर they were for the whole of the tribe. So अगर कोई sacrifice दी जाती थी, कोई ritual था वहाँ पे, तो उसका ये था कि सबका भला, सबकी भलाई, welfare of all. So it was sacrifices were made so that one tribe is able to establish its control over another tribe. So, and it is good happens to the whole of the tribe and all that. So this was the main purpose of sacrifices. But in the later Vedic times, we see that the whole context is changing. Sacrifices, rituals का जो pattern, nature है वो change होता है. So we will get to that in a moment. So जो sources हमें information देते हैं about Rig Vedic period, about this early Vedic period, they include the 10th mandala of Rigved, then Samved, Yajurved, Atharved. They also provide us information. They also are the sources for reconstructing this phase of history. And based on the information in these Vedas, जैसे कि Samved में it provides us information about different prayers and different rituals, chants, which were which had to be recited at the time of the rituals. Yajurved जो है, it provides us elaboration of the rituals. Atharved contains folk traditions of the time. So all of them, when we look at from Rigved to Atharved, when we analyze them, we get a lot of information about the later Vedic period. And on the basis of that information, we are able to reconstruct the history of this very phase, about how what religious beliefs these people had, economy कैसी थी, subsistence pattern क्या था, polity कैसी थी, कौन सी changes आई, all those we are discussing. We are getting that information because of these sources, and the information is also at times supplemented by different archaeological sources. Now a pehली change, when we talk of changes कि इस period में, based on the sources that we have, कि इस later Vedic period में क्या changes आती है. The first is in terms of the nature of economy जो है वो change होता है. Now in the Rigvedic times, pastoral economy was the main, that was the predominant economic activity. Now in Rigvedic times, in the later Vedic times, we see in this very phase which we are talking about, we see that the nature of economy is changing, and pastoralism is losing its centrality. Now pastoralism is being replaced by agriculture, and that means cultivation of crops. Agriculture is becoming the main. Agriculture is now the main activity is agriculture. So, and archaeological and literary evidences, literary sources, they suggest that the staple food of the people of this very time was rice. So pastoralism had declined during this very phase, and uh, settled sedentary agricultural communities had emerged. So agriculture was taking the central stage. Now, this is one. This is one change, and then we will discuss what is happening because of this. जब agriculture central activity बनती है, sedentary lifestyle बनता है, sedentary लोग वहाँ पे होते हैं, settlements बनते हैं, villages organize होते हैं. So then what changes it push forward? Second जो चीज हम इसमें देखते हैं, second important thing that we find certain important change during this very period was in terms of the rituals that were performed. जो ऋग्वेदिक टाइम्स में रिचुअल्स जो सेक्रीफाइसेस या जो रिचुअल्स थे वहां पे they were for the welfare of the tribe. Now in the later Vedic period we see rituals getting very complicated. So अब rituals जो है ज्यादा complicated होते हैं, not, and they are at times continuing for years, and they are becoming very tough practices, and therefore it was not possible for everyone in the society to do for these kind of rituals. Only the rich, those having wealth and access to more control over resources, they could now perform this. So rituals are also becoming rituals भी सबकी बात नहीं रहती है. This shows that the society is no more egalitarian. One is this. So ऋग्वेदिक टाइम्स में अगर आप देखते हैं कि जो ट्राइब जो रिचुअल्स परफॉर्म की जाती थी, एक मकसद उनका था कि so that one whole tribe is benefited and a tribe is able to establish its control over other tribes. But here we see in later Vedic period, rituals, if they are practiced not for the collective good of the tribe, but at times for individual, or जो भी है जो within for the control of the tribe itself, कि within tribe control करने की या का मकसद इसमें rituals में आ जाता है. That is the change, and we will see what type of sacrifices were made and how that was done. Second चीज जो है कि that means जब हम rituals की बात करते हैं तो यहाँ पे जो rituals later Vedic period इसमें जो rituals परफॉर्म की जाती थी, उनका मकसद ये नहीं था कि किसी और ट्राइब को कंट्रोल करे, बल्कि उनका ज्यादा मकसद ये था कि अपनी ट्राइब पे कैसे कंट्रोल एस्टैब्लिश किया जाए. एंड देन another important change that we see during this very period is that because of agriculture, because pastoralism is declining and agriculture is emerging as the main economic activity, because of that we see that the importance of land is also very much increasing. लैंड की इंपॉर्टेंस जो है वो बढ़ जाती है. क्लान पहले लैंड की उतनी पास्टोरल इकोनॉमीज में लैंड की उतनी इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं होती थी जितनी कैटल की थी. बट अब जब ये एग्रीरियन इकोनॉमी बन गई, एग्रीकल्चर इज द मेन एक्टिविटी, सो वी सी दैट द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ लैंड इज अकॉर्डिंगली that is increasing a lot. So this is another change. Because of this हम देखते हैं कि that जब लैंड की इंपॉर्टेंस बढ़ती है तो we see that conflict जो है, conflict is moving from conflict is earlier used to be on about cow, for cow, but now conflict is for land and about land. So land is getting centrality. So society जो है, because of all these things we see that society is moving away from egalitarianism. Egalitarian society ये नहीं रहती है जो ऋग्वेदिक टाइम्स में थी, और society अब बन रही है, society में inequality बढ़ जाती है. So these were the major changes happening in the later Vedic period. So land की importance बढ़ जाती है. Not only जो सोसाइटी में egalitarianism था वो रिप्लेस होता है, inequality आ जाती है. जो ऋग्वेदिक टाइम्स में अगर सोशल डिविजन्स थे तो वो सोशल डिविजन्स they were based on occupation, but here social divisions are based on something else. So these are the important changes that are happening. Pastoral economy is being replaced by agrarian economy. So all these changes are happening, and there were changes in the polity as well. जब हम ऋग्वेदिक टाइम्स की बात करते हैं तो क्लान जहाँ पे सेटल होता, जहाँ पे सेटल टेरिटोरियल कॉन्सेप्ट was not there. So tribe was important. Tribe जो है, tribe कहाँ पे सेटल होती है, that was there. But now in the later Vedic times we see that territory is जहाँ पे वो जगह जहाँ पे tribe settle होती है, क्योंकि now they are practicing agriculture as well, that is also becoming very important. So the concept of territoriality, so that is now becoming very important. और इसकी आप देखते हैं कि perhaps this is the beginning, this is for the first time in Indian subcontinent जहाँ पे हम देखते हैं जब land becomes जहाँ पे एक tribe settle होती है, वो जगह भी ज़्यादा important रहती है. And then आप इसकी प्रोटेक्शन, आप काउ प्रोटेक्शन से ज़्यादा, एनिमल्स की प्रोटेक्शन से ज़्यादा आप इस टेरिटरी की प्रोटेक्शन ज़्यादा मायने रखती है. एंड जब स्टेट्स फिर बाद में इमर्ज हुए तो हर एक स्टेट का एक टेरिटोरियल कंपोनेंट था. हर एक स्टेट अपनी एस्टैब्लिशमेंट, अपनी जुरिडिक्शन और टेरिटरी एस्टैब्लिश करता था. तो उसके बेसिस जो है टेरिटरी कहाँ इंपॉर्टेंट बनती है, इट इज़ हियर दैट वी फाइंड द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ ट्राइब के लिए टेरिटरी कैसे इंपॉर्टेंट बनती है, वी फाइंड दैट हियर. सो इस लेटर वैदिक पीरियड में हम देखते हैं कि दैट ट्राइब जो है, ट्राइब जाना जिसको हम जाना, it meant tribe in the Vedic times. Now it is transforming into, इसके लिए अब इस ट्राइब के में सिर्फ लोग ही इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, लेकिन वो जगह भी इंपॉर्टेंट है जहाँ पे रहते हैं. सो न्यू टर्म जिसको हम जनपंडा, एक टेरिटोरियल यूनिट, एक tribe along with the territory over which it was settling, that is becoming important. वो जिसको हम जनपंडा कहते हैं, that is so later Vedic period में territory का concept आ जाता है. And because of the emergence of tribal this territorial concept, हम देखते हैं कि जो tribal chief Vedic early Vedic times में जो tribal chief था, उसकी कुछ selected, कुछ very functions थी which included, जिनमें important functions थी cows की protection ensure करना, and search for cows and fight those who were enemies of the cows, ये major ये थी. और उसको फिर वो काम करने के लिए उसको voluntary कुछ gifts मिलते थे, बल्ली या भोगा, जो हम कुछ economic tribute, economic transactions जैसे होती थी, he was getting that. And now in the Janapanda we see that the functions of the tribal chief, his status, his functions, they are now changing. So he is not now the tribal chief, the Rajan. He is not now simply a protector of cattle. His primary job is not to protect the cattle. So he is now more than a protector of cattle. He is now the protector of the territory. ज़्यादा अब उसको territory को protect करना है. So that is very important. This is very important. कि अब पहले जो था, पहले हम देखते हैं कि जो ट्राइबल चीफ था, ट्राइबल चीफ की जो ड्यूटीज थी, वो उन ड्यूटीज में सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट ड्यूटी जो थी, दैट वाज द प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ कैटल. बट नाउ वी आर सीइंग दैट now the primary duty of the tribal chief, the Rajan, was protection of territory also. And जो tributes, जो जो sort of economic gifts उनको मिलते थे, they were not that systematic. एक वो जरूरी नहीं, उस हिसाब से नहीं था. लेकिन अब लेटर वैदिक पीरियड में हम देखते हैं कि बल्ली एंड भोगा, जो जैसे बागा, ये जो इकोनॉमिक ट्रिब्यूट जैसी चीजें थी, गिफ्ट्स या टैक्स जैसा था, नाउ दे आर बिकमिंग मोर they are in a way they are now becoming compulsory. सो ट्राइबल असेंबलीज जो थी उनकी इम्पोर्टेंस और ज़्यादा बढ़ती है, लेकिन एक चीज़ है हम लेटर वैदिक पीरियड में देखते हैं कि दैट वुमन नाउ इन सभा उसकी पार्टिसिपेशन जो है उतनी ज़्यादा नहीं रहती है. एंड देन डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ हम डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ ये सेक्रीफाइसेस जो हम देखते हैं कि जो ऋग्वेदिक टाइम्स में भी थी, जो सेक्रीफाइसेस की जाती थी, वो सेक्रीफाइसेस अब ज़्यादा पॉपुलर बन जाती है. एंड लेकिन मकसद जो है इन सेक्रीफाइसेस का है, इनका आप राजन जो है, जो ये प्रैक्टिस कर, जो ये सेक्रीफाइसेस परफॉर्म करता है, उसके कंट्रोल को, उसके पावर को लेजिटिमेट करना, उसके पावर को एनहांस करना. दैट वाज द पर्पस ऑफ डिफरेंट सेक्रीफाइसेस. सो राजा की लेजिटिमेसी बढ़ाने के लिए सेक्रीफाइसेस वर मेड. और खासकर 3 सेक्रीफाइसेस की बात हम three sacrifices, were made. There are many sacrifices, 3 were very important. राजसूया एक सेक्रीफाइस थी, वाजपेया भी एक सेक्रीफाइस थी, and Asmavida. These were the 3 different sacrifices which were performed, and all of them in a way were performed to enhance the power and the prestige of the ruler, to legitimize his control over the territory, over over his clan, and other tribes as well. So sacrifices यहाँ पे बहुत ही मायने रखती है. And some of the sacrifices also, वो हमें दिखाते हैं, they give this impression, that perhaps, or you can say that they were related to the fertility cult. जिसमें for example अस्मवेदा जो रिचुअल परफॉर्म किया जाता था, अस्मवेदा जब किया जाता, जिसमें हार्स की सेक्रीफाइस दी जाती थी. So while making the sacrifice, the chief queen of the Rajan, जो उसकी chief queen हुआ करती थी, तो she had to lie beside the horse. In a way, she had to sleep, you can say, with the horse, जहाँ पे horse को sacrifice किया जाता था. So this shows that there was some sort of fertility cult, and this society had now become more patriarchal. So later Vedic society में हम ज़्यादा patriarchal mechanism of patriarchy जो है वो ज़्यादा deep हो जाता है. Rituals जो है they got more complicated. So the rituals were not simple. The rituals were not as the rituals were in the time of early Vedic period. The rituals they got extremely complicated, and we see that rituals में हम देखते हैं कि rituals used to be, now more and more people participated because the Rajan had to legitimize his position, so they were performed publicly. But rituals were also private, but rituals were not for collective welfare of the tribe. यहाँ पर वो हम नहीं देखते हैं. So this is what is happening in the जिसको हम कहते हैं in the later Vedic period. इसके साथ साथ लेटर वैदिक पीरियड में हम देखते हैं कि लेटर वैदिक पीरियड में हम देखते हैं कि प्रीस्ट क्राफ्ट इमर्ज होता है, जिसमें हम देखते हैं कि पहले ऋग्वेदिक टाइम्स में रिचुअल्स परफॉर्म करने के लिए कोई स्पेशलाइज्ड ग्रुप नहीं था, कोई सोशल क्लास ऐसा नहीं था जो which was necessary there. But in the later Vedic period, we see that these are getting extremely complicated, and there was a section of priests who only could, perform these sacrifices. So priestcraft is emerging in the later Vedic phase. And then another thing is that in the later Vedic phase, the importance of some of the gods is increasing, और कुछ जो गॉड्स थे उनकी इम्पोर्टेंस जो है वो कम हो जाती है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल इन ऋग्वेदिक एरा, इंद्रा एंड अग्नि वर द पॉपुलर गॉड्स. बहुत ज्यादा रेफरेंसेस हमें मिलती है अबाउट इंद्रा. we get good number of references in Rig Veda about Agni. This shows that these gods were very, popular gods, because people believed, most of the people venerated these gods, and uh, ये है. अब जब हम लेटर वैदिक पीरियड में आते हैं तो हम देखते हैं कि इन गॉड्स की पॉपुलैरिटी ये कम हो जाती है, एंड दैट इज बेस्ड ऑन द नंबर ऑफ रेफरेंसेस इन द ऋग्वेद, they not really in the later Vedas. So Samved, Yajurved, Atharved या 10th मंडला ऑफ ऋग्वेद जो हमें इंफॉर्मेशन देता है इस पीरियड के बारे में, तो हमें यहाँ से इनसे हमें जो रेफरेंसेस मिलती है तो उनसे पता चलता है कि that some gods like Indra, Agni, these gods had their importance had declined, diminished, while as other gods had assumed more importance. Like जिसमें हम देखते हैं कि प्रजापति जो है, प्रजापति is becoming प्रजापति is becoming a very very important god. इसी तरीके से हम देखते हैं कि that Rudra is now a more popular god than Indra or Agni. So same way we see Pushan becoming the god of the Shudras. So number of these changes are occurring in this क्या कहते हैं कि that in the later Vedic period, and we see that concept of Varna. This is a sort of social stratification. This is also emerging in the later Vedic period, जहाँ पे stratification on the basis of birth status, birth पे status किसी का determine होता है, जहाँ पे hierarchy जो है वो occupation से based नहीं है, which is based on this status by birth. और हम देखते हैं जहाँ पे कुछ marriage से related जो है वो rules change हो जाते हैं. So we see a concept of Varna also emerging in later Vedic period, जहाँ पे birth के basis पे status एक individual का वो determine होता है, और on the basis of that we see a hierarchy emerging in the society. Varna के basis पे on the basis of concept of Varna, जहाँ पे हम देखते हैं कि Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra society is divided into these four varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, and then इसमें हम देखते हैं कि that then the rule of endogamy is being that is being invoked, कि अब हर एक within हर एक वरना के अपने अपने rules जो है, अपने अपने rituals जो है they are being established. अब यहाँ पर हम देखते हैं कि यहाँ पे एक तो वरना का कंसेप्ट है, तो ये भी देखते हैं कि that in the Rigvedic times वहाँ पे जहाँ पर marriages की बात करते हैं तो वहाँ पे within the clan marriages were there, but in the later Vedic period we see that the concept of जिसको हम कहते हैं which is being termed as gotra. Gotra is, अगर आप ट्रांसलेट इसको करेंगे, cow pen, so cow shed. So this shows this कि क्योंकि cow की बहुत ज़्यादा importance थी, तो जो a clan which shared the same cow pen, तो उसका मतलब है कि they shared also the same ancestry. So marriages within the gotra they were not allowed. So concept of gotra is emerging in the later Vedic period, and then इसमें हम देखते हैं कि that marriages within the tribe, tribal endogamy जो है उसके against यहाँ पे function होता है. यहाँ पे जो ये concept of gotra is against endogamy, it is marriage within the tribe. It is now यहाँ पे एक आती गोत्रा के बाहर, those who are not sharing the same cow shed, that means who do not have the same ancestral, so only they can marriage can happen only between them. So this is also emerging in the later Vedic period. We also see that stages of life were prescribed during this very period. 3 stages of life इसमें prescribed, 3 stages of life के बारे में बोला जाता है. One was a brahmacharya, that is the studentship. Second stage of life गृहस्था जिसको हम कहते हैं हाउस होल्डर का स्टेज, when one gets married and then manages the affairs of his family and home, that is the second stage. Then third is vanaprastha. It was to take a retirement from the household affairs. So three stages of life, three stages, uh, three ashramas भी इनको कहा जाता है. That is this concept, this is also emerging in the later Vedic period. लेटर वैदिक पीरियड में लेकिन हम जो संन्यासा फोर्थ स्टेज जो ये दिस इज कंसिडर्ड एज अ लेटर एडिशन टू दिस, लेटर एडिशन बाद में ये हुआ है. सो ये थ्री स्टेज ऑफ लाइफ जो जिसमें हम कहते हैं क्या तीन आश्रमास जो थे, जिसमें ब्रह्मचार्य पहला स्टेज है जो एक स्टूडेंट का स्टेज होता है, स्टूडेंटशिप जिसको कहते हैं. देन गृहस्थी का स्टेज जिसमें एक इंसान जो है हाउस होल्ड अफेयर्स वो मैनेज करता है, वो वाला स्टेज. जब किसी की शादी होती है फिर वो घर संभालने में लगता है, सो दैट स्टेज. एंड देन थर्ड स्टेज दिस इज टॉक्ड अबाउट, जिसको हम कहते हैं वनाप्रस्था, third stage. Now these stages also tell us about certain things in the society. Vanaprastha stage जो है कि हाउसिंग पैटर्न से जो फैमिली अफेयर्स थे उनसे जब कोई रिटायरमेंट लेता था, so this shows us that there were reasons, there may have been some people who were not happy with the kind of setup in the society, and they responded to that. They protested actively or passively against that and left that grihasthi stage and went to the forests. This is considered as a sort of protest by the people. So हम डिफरेंट नई चीजें इस स्टेज में देखते हैं. गोत्रा जैसे है, थ्री स्टेज ऑफ लाइफ देखते हैं यहाँ में हम. वरना का इवोल्यूशन इसमें देखते हैं. ऑल दीज वर द चेंजेस ड्यूरिंग द लेटर वैदिक पीरियड. सो देयर वर चेंजेस इन इकोनॉमी, देयर वर चेंजेस इन सोसाइटी, देयर वर चेंजेस इन दिस पॉलिटी, देयर वर चेंजेस in religion as well, while we see that जहाँ पे हम देखते हैं कि that different rituals, different gods की importance बढ़ती है, different rituals की importance बढ़ती है, और priestcraft is emerging where sacrifices could not be made by anyone. A specialized section of society emerged which took this the job of performing these sacrifices or rituals. So जिसको हम priestcraft कहते हैं. So all these changes happened in the later Vedic phase, and these changes demarcate, they in a way throw light on differences between, they tell us that the Rig Vedic society, Rig Vedic phase was in many counts different than the later Vedic phase. बहुत सारी changes आ गई थी, whether it is in terms of egalitarian status of the society, which the later Vedic phase was less egalitarian, inequality was more there. If we compare the polities, we see the primary role of the Rajan or the tribal chief in the Rig Vedic phase was to protect the cattle and to facilitate search of cows and protection of cows. So cattle wealth was important. But in the later Vedic phase, we see that the importance of territory is increasing, and the Rajan is not now simply the protector of the cattle, he is the protector of the tribe as well. We also see, if we compare, अगर हम compare करेंगे तो हम देखेंगे कि society जो gods, religious beliefs, जो religious gods Rig Vedic times में थे, वो उनके बजाय कोई और gods emerge हो रहे हैं as important gods. Like Prajapati is becoming very important god. It was a very ordinary god, very very small importance in the Rig Vedic times, but here it is becoming, this god is becoming very, very important. Same way we see that Rudra is emerging as a very popular god. इसी तरीके से हम शूद्रास का अलग से गॉड देखते हैं कि वो इसमें एक नया गॉड उनको मिलता है, नए नए गॉड को वो अपने आप के साथ एसोसिएट करते हैं. So all these things are happening in the later this in the later Vedic phase में ये सारी चीजें होती है. So if we sum it up, तो हम देखते हैं कि that in the later Vedic phase, the society changed from pastoral nomadic lifestyle to a settled agricultural society. And इसमें हम देखते हैं कि that so pastoralism से हम agricultural style हम देखते हैं. So this is bringing a number of settlements. लेकिन एक चीज यहाँ पे है कि कभी-कभी कुछ scholars they had argued that this happened because of the use of iron. लेकिन यहाँ पर हम देखते हैं कि iron का उतना extensive use नहीं होता है. So despite the use of iron हम देखते हैं कि ये चीजें होती है. Perhaps the reason for this was okay when this happened, this is because the region where they settled, this region was very very fertile, and there was irrigation facilities were available, so production increased. When production increased, so food up ज़्यादा produce हो गया, so that also facilitated agriculture instead of pastoralism. So इसमें हम देखते हैं कि political units establish होते हैं and social stratification भी emerge होती है. अब यहाँ पे देखते हैं कि राजन जो है he is now becoming more powerful. He is now considering Balli and Baga as a legitimate. Is considering that is that he has a legitimate right. It is not now voluntary, but people have to pay it because he is protecting the territory. So he is saying that he has an entitlement to some part of the produce, some part of it. So this is now in the later Vedic period में हमें ये भी देखने को मिलता है. We also see that कि कुछ gods की importance early Vedic period में जो gods थे like इंद्रा and अग्नि, उनकी importance कम होती है और कुछ नए gods जो है वो important बनते हैं like रुद्र. This god is becoming more important and Indra is becoming less important. So we get all this information about ये सारी चीजें, ये सारी changes हम देखते हैं. We find all these changes in the later Vedic phase. So the period from if we see from the decline of Harappan civilization up to 600 BC, अगर हम इसमें देखेंगे तो we see that after the decline of Harappan civilization, different cultures which are named on the basis of the potteries that they used, they are emerging. And those cultures, जो वो pottery cultures थे in northern India, they are then उनसे हम देखते हैं कि that different centers are emerging. And then in the region of Punjab, we see that some people are inhabiting this very place. They were different than the people of the Harappan civilization. They were different from the people of these very cultures in different ways. For example, these people now claimed that they have wisdom. They have been revealed. Certain texts have been revealed to them, and the earliest one among them was Rigved. And they are saying, then they also were the people who were knowing, they knew about horse, and they in fact made use of horse for certain, for certain activities as well. So all these things we see, ये वहाँ से ये चीजें इमर्ज होती है. तो इस सोसाइटी में हम फिर देखते हैं कि the people who settled in the Sapta Sindhu region, तो जो different थे from rest of the people, जिनके बारे में कभी ये कहा जाता था कि whether they came through migration or whether they came as the invaders. So there is a big question, big debate on that, जिसको कभी-कभी Aryan debate भी कहा जाता है. These people are referred as Aryans, and the opinion is divided on that. तो इस सोसाइटी के बारे में जब हम इनकी सोसाइटी देखते हैं, इनकी पॉलिटी देखते हैं, इनकी इकोनॉमी देखते हैं, तो हमें ज़्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन ऋग्वेद से आती है. And then this information is also supplemented by archaeological sources. तो इनकी सोसाइटी की एक स्केचिंग, एक पिक्चर हमारे सामने आती है जहाँ पे pastoralism was dominant, जहाँ पे हम देखते हैं कि the chief, tribal chief, was more concerned about his main duty was protection of cattle. Social stratification was based on division in society was based on occupations, not on birth. These all things we are seeing, but then this society is changing. Firstly, it's expanding to regions beyond the Sapta region. So Ganga, Yamuna, Doab, वहाँ तक ये जाते हैं. वहाँ पे ये the soil is very fertile, so they are moving away from pastoralism. They are started cultivating crops. It is becoming a settled community now. Villages are emerging. But इस emergence में agricultural practice में कभी कहा जाता था कि iron played a key role. लेकिन यहाँ पे हमें archaeological evidence suggest that at this stage iron did not play that much of a role. So later Vedic period में उतना iron का role नहीं था, but fertility of the soil was very important. That increased production, and with the result we see that number of other changes are occurring. When production increased, we see some sort of urban centers also emerging. When production increased, we see that importance of land also enhanced. When importance of land enhanced and territory became important, we see that the functions of the Rajan, they did not remain confined to the protection of cattle. Now he is the protector of the territory as well. And now when he is the protector of the territory, he considered it a legitimate right to collect some sort of taxes, certain like bali and baga from the peasants, which otherwise were voluntary in the Rig Vedic times. So ये सब चीजें जब होती है, जब उसका status increase होता है, so then he started also जो rituals perform की जाती थी, उन rituals का nature भी change होता है. Now rituals are not for the welfare of the tribe. It is not for they are not performed so that one tribe is able to control another tribe. Now rituals are more, they उनकी जो उनका जो मकसद है उन rituals का, that is that the person should be able, the Rajan should be able to maintain control over the tribe. So in order to legitimize his position, in order to maintain his status and control over the tribe, he is making rituals. And rituals are not now simple, they are very complicated. A section of society, a class of society was required to perform these rituals. So priestcraft is emerging. So all these changes we are witnessing in the later Vedic period. And society में भी हम social division जो है वो भी देखते हैं, but this social division is not based on occupation. Social division is now based on birth. We see that status on the basis of birth is emerging. Varanas जिनको हम कहते हैं they are emerging. So 4 varanas, society को 4 varanas में हम देखते हैं कि वो 4 varanas में बढ़ जाती है. Brahmans were there, Kshatriyas were there, Vishyas were there, Shudras were there. So these were the 4 varanas where the status of one was more than the other simply based on the birth. Because of birth, one was superior to another, not on the basis of occupational superiority was not, that was not there. And because of this varana system, we see that the rules of a marriage, जो उससे related थे, marriage से related rules वगैरह, guiding से related, ये सारी चीजें फिर emerge हो जाती है. So and then we see that religious beliefs भी कुछ gods की importance ऋग्वेदिक times में ज्यादा थी, कुछ gods की importance अब यहाँ पे बढ़ जाती है. So we see the concept of Gotra emerging in later Vedic period. We also see, जैसे मैंने आपको कहा था कि that ashrams, different stages of life. अब इस period में ये notion develop होता है, जिसमें आप देखते हैं कि that brahmacharya, grihasthi, and other stages of तीसरा stage जिसको हम कहते हैं what is that तीसरा vanaprastha. These are the different stages of life. ये notion, ये जो system है यहाँ पे develop होता है. So these were the changes that happened in the later Vedic period. And later Vedic period का जिसका it was 1000 to 600 BC. और इसके साथ साथ ही हम देखते हैं लेटर वेदिक की कंटिन्यूएशन हम देखते हैं कि इस जना पंडास के साथ ही जो ट्राइबल यूनिट्स इमर्ज होते हैं, ट्राइब जहाँ पे रहते हैं, जिस जगह पे सेटल होते हैं, उस जगह को जना पंडा कहते हैं. सो अब ये बहुत सारी जना पंडास इमर्ज होती है. एंड instead of fighting for cattle, these Jana Pandas were fighting for territory. One Jana Panda wanted to control the territory of another Jana Panda. And in this tussle, to control the Jana Pandas, we see that some Jana Pandas were taken over by the more important Jana Pandas. And with that, we see a number of Mahajana Pandas emerging. इस 1600 BC के अराउंड हम देखते हैं कि 16 महाजना पंडास इमर्ज होते हैं हिंदुस्तान में. एंड among these 16 महाजना पंडास, ultimately we see that Magad emerged as the most important, Jana Panda, and then it laid the edifice. ये base बनता है for the emergence of the Mauryan Empire. ये सारी Jana Pandas जो है, 16 Jana Pandas, that is ये दूसरे यूनिट का डिस्कशन है. जब we will try to have a discussion on that. So उस पे जब डिस्कशन होगा तो वहाँ पे बात होगी कि among these 16 Jana Pandas, only 1 or 2 or 3 they ultimately emerged as the most powerful, and ultimately one among them emerged as the most powerful Mahajana Panda, जिसका मगध जिसको नाम हम देते हैं. And in the emergence of Magad, यहाँ पे हम देखते हैं मगध की emergence as the most powerful Mahajana Panda. यहाँ पे मेटल ओर्स के साथ साथ आयरन के साथ साथ हम देखते हैं कि इसकी स्ट्रेटेजिक लोकेशन फेवर करती है. कुछ पर्सनैलिटीज जो वहाँ पे थी, वो मैटर करते हैं. So number of factors collectively helped in the emergence of Magad as the most important Mahajana Panda, which ultimately paved way for the emergence of the Mauryan Empire, जो पहली empire हम देखते हैं कि हिंदुस्तान सब कंटिनेंट में emerge होती है. That would be the topic of discussion in another session. So I hope you would have enjoyed it. With this, I take your leave and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.